Have you ever spent an hour putting together IKEA furniture just to realize that the next piece is not going to fit because you did something wrong on page 2 at the very beginning and you have to redo the whole thing? Or have you ever dated someone for about 4 years just to hear from them they're actually not sure they're in love with you? That moment when you realize that the only way to move forward is to start over, it sucks. Those moments suck. And they happen so often because we get distracted, we lose track. But good news is there are things that we can control because guess what? Starting over is a skill. And if it's a skill, we can improve. Hi, and welcome to Masha Edition. Life actually throws a lot of opportunities to me to start things over. Most notable one was the Christmas tree. Got a pretty big one, and I was putting lights up on it. And the way I do it is I wrap every branch like all the way so that it's lit all the way through because, well, it's pretty that way. After about doing 2/3 of the tree, I'm realizing that the next string of light is not going to fit because they have those different size prongs and the corresponding holes could be larger and smaller, and or sometimes they're the same size. So everything before was the same size and will worked, and everything remaining is it has one prong larger than the other, so it's not gonna plug in into what's already on the tree. Having wasted 2 hours of my life, I actually wanted to know why they do it this way, and ChatGPT graciously explained that they are different size because that one is different sized, one prong is the hot one is the neutral one, and the electricity flows only one direction. And for some electrical devices, apparently, that is safer. But for Christmas lights, it's supposed to not make any difference. So I'm wondering, I have no idea why they did that to me. So okay, I'm pretty much stuck. I'm realizing I'm stuck. Yeah, I admit it. So the choice is either buy more lights, wait a couple of days, which I don't want to do, or undo the whole thing, figure out the correct order, and put it all back up. In retrospective, what I should have done is line them up on the floor, connect them, make sure they all work together. That would be the smart thing to do. But the smart thing was not my first instinct. So I poured myself a drink, put on audiobook, and decided to pretend those 2 hours of my life did not happen. And you know what? Once I was done, I didn't think about that I did it twice. I was just happy to be on the other side. I was happy to see that my tree looked exactly like I imagined it. It felt good that I chose to overcome that. And things like that happen more often than I care to admit. So when I putting a Lego set together and I realize the next piece is not going to fit, and now I have to backtrack 100 steps to see where exactly things went wrong. Or like when I'm on a hiking trail, I'm walking, and the trail looks less and less like an actual official trail. And well, I really shouldn't have looked on the map half an hour ago. Wouldn't have to climb back up a steep hill just to get back on a real trail. There's more examples, but the more I talk about it, the more embarrassing it gets. You get the idea, right? So, starting over is a skill though. In order to work on it, you need to know what you're dealing with. So there are a couple of steps you should take. Number one, acknowledge. Acknowledge that you messed up. Don't get stuck. Profanities are acceptable. Be honest with yourself. Yes, you spent that much time, and yes, you're gonna have to do it again if you choose so. Number two, overcome the activation energy. Because your first instinct is gonna be to give up. You've wasted so much time, no way you're gonna do it again. And you know what? For some cases, it might totally be true. This might be the time when you realize that you shouldn't have started in the first place. But if it's not that, then remind yourself of why you started in the first place. Remind yourself of your goal. What is waiting for you on the other side? And most importantly, remind yourself that you've been here before. You have started over before. You did it and it felt good. Number three, remember that it's not a total waste of time. Any experience is net positive. You never lose. You either win or you learn. This time you learn. I highly encourage you to look at starting over as a skill, because when you think about it as a skill, every time you do it, you are overcoming this activation energy successfully. It's like you're training a muscle. It's like a progressive overload at the gym. You can think about it that way. And the more you do it, the easier it's going to be. One interesting thing is with things like IKEA furniture or Christmas lights, it's relatively easy to notice when you obviously stuck. And the only way is to redo the whole thing. With things like relationships, it isn't always obvious when this is an ultimate dead end. Sometimes we just keep going and going and going. One lesson I keep learning over and over again is you've got to pay attention. Big things and small. Because some do-overs are gonna cost you 2 hours of your life and some 2 years. There's a quote from a book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It says, "Time will multiply whatever you feed it." And this is so true. One of the most inefficient things you can do with your life is going very, very fast in the wrong direction. You gotta pay attention. You gotta slow down every once in a while. Look at the instructions if you're working on the Lego, or revisit your goals, revisit your values if you're in a relationship. Because if you don't, then inevitably you're gonna run into a wall. And the sooner you realize that the next piece ain't gonna fit, the easier it will be to say and start over.